Today we are doing chapter 5.2, the second part of chapter 5. And this chapter is called Divide Decimals by Whole Numbers. Okay, so let's think about what that means. If we're going to divide a decimal by a whole number, which one's going to be the dividend? The decimal or the whole number? If we're going to divide a decimal by a whole number, is the decimal the dividend or the divisor? Arushi?
It's the dividend because you said that it was going to be divided by the divisor.
Yeah, so we're going to have a decimal divided by a whole number. WN stands for whole number. Okay, another way we might look at that is we might have the decimal divided by a whole number. Okay, and that's what we can expect to see today. Our learning goal for today is to model the division of decimals by whole numbers. What does that tell you automatically? What are we going to be doing today? If we're modeling the division of decimals by whole numbers, what are we doing, Joseph? We might use base 10 blocks or a quick picture, right? Or some sort of diagram to represent our math. Okay, so when we look at this problem, we have to know a couple things. First of all, what is the question asking? Yarden? Okay, so we can answer the question by figuring out the length of each side of the frame. What's the important information we need to know? Siddharth?
This is a square.
Okay.
And it's also that has a perimeter of 2.4 meters.
Okay, so we know that it's the shape of the frame is a square, and the perimeter of the square is 2.4 meters. Let's talk about that for a second. We need to know what perimeter means in order to know what that means. What is perimeter? Rashika?
The perimeter is like if you have a square, so it's like the length times width times 2.
Length times width times 2?
You add the length and the width of all sides of the square.
Oh, you add all the sides. So it's not times, right? Because times is multiplying. Length times width will help you find what? The area, right? And in this case, we're trying to find the perimeter. The perimeter is what you get when you add the lengths of all 4 sides. Okay. Now, what do we know about a square? What makes a square a square? What makes a square a square? Colin?
All 4 sides are equal.
So if the length of this side is, let's say, n, what's the length of this side? N. And what's the length of this side?
N.
And what would the length of this side be? So I could find this perimeter of this square by doing n plus n plus n plus n. When I do repeated addition, that's the same as what? Multiplication. So instead of doing n plus n plus n plus n, I could also find the perimeter by doing what? Yeah, so I could say n times 4 is going to be how long? What is the perimeter of Angela's picture frame? Zara? 2 4/10 meters. Yeah, so I know n times 4 is 2 4/10. So how come we can do 2 4/10 divided by 4 to find the value of n, or how long each side is? Why is that? Ariel?
Because there are 4 sides in a square.
Okay.
And so that's why we have to divide it by 4.
Yeah, so if I share this 2.4 equally amongst 4 sides, will that be the length of each side? Yeah. So let's see how we can do that. Let's see how we can model that. So by drawing a model that represented 2 4/10 and then dividing it into 4 equal groups, we could see that each side is 0.6 or 6/10 meters long. Okay. Did we start out with 24 rods like this though? No, we didn't start out with a bunch of rods, right? We started out with 2 1s and 4/10. How did we get to these rods? What did we have to do? Misaki? We had to cut them in order to regroup. And why did we have to regroup? How come we didn't just start dividing the ones equally amongst the 4 groups? Liam?
Because then there wouldn't be an equal amount of rods in time or amount in each group.
Yeah, there weren't enough flats or ones to put in each group. And that's not fair if some groups get one and some groups don't, right? Good. Now, is this an effective way to model every single time? No. So let's take a picture instead, okay? Let's take a look at this problem. It says Kyle has a roll of ribbon that's 3 21/100 yards long, or 3.21 yards long. Those of you who started writing down 3.21, that's really good note taking because you know that that's going to be part of the problem, right? He cuts the ribbon into 3 equal lengths. How long is each piece of ribbon? Okay, what is the question asking here, Jason? How long is each piece of ribbon? What is the important information, Soham, that we need to know to solve this problem?
Kyle has a roll of ribbon that's 3 yards long.
Okay, the ribbon is 3.21 yards long altogether.
And he cuts the ribbon into 3.
He's going to cut it into 3 equal sections. Each section is the same length. So he wants to share his 3 21/100 yards equally amongst 3 groups. Is this a division problem? Yeah. What is the division problem that we need to do to solve this? Karan?
3 plus 21 divided by 3.
Good. 3.21 or 3 21/100 divided by 3. Okay, let's draw a quick picture. In our dividend, how many units do we have? How many holes do we have? 3. And we represent that by drawing 3 what, Thomas? How can I represent my 3? Yeah, what do I draw?
Three flats.
3 flats, or 3 squares, right? You could say. So 1, 2, 3. And then how many tenths do I have? Joseph? 2. And I can draw that by drawing 2 rods. And how many hundredths do I have? Adam? 1. And I can draw that by drawing 1 little cube, right? And I want to divide that into how many groups? 3. I want to divide it equally into 3 groups. So go ahead and draw 3 circles for your 3 groups. Now, let's share these things equally, okay? Can I share my ones first? Sure. Let's put 1 flat in each group. So 1, 2, 3. And what I like to do is once I've shared it, I like to cross it out to show myself and stay organized that I'm done with those. I don't need to worry about those anymore, okay? Now, let's talk about the tenths next. Do I have enough tenths to put 1 in each group?
No.
Which means I need to do what? So I'm going to have to take both of my tenths and cross them out. And my 2 tenths becomes how many hundredths? 20. So I can draw 20 these things. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, how many hundredths do I have all together, including my little red one that I originally had? Yarden? 21. Do we know our math facts? Does 21 go into 3 equally? Yes. How many should there be in each group? 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw 7 hundredths into each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you're taking good notes, you're doing this as well. And of course, once I've regrouped them, or once I've put them into the groups, I like to cross them out to tell myself I'm done. I don't need to worry about those anymore. That way, when I think I'm done sharing all the stuff, all the dividend stuff, I can look back at my picture. Was everything crossed out? Did I really take care of everything? Yeah. So then I can just look in each group. How much is in one group now? How much is in one group? Ashi?
1 and 7.
Yeah, 1 and 700. So I know that each piece of ribbon is 1 and 7 or 700 yards long.